Hello and welcome back to the National Parents Union. I am Kelly Williams Bollard, and this is the Parent Effect. I'm not going to have a guest tonight. I just recently came back from a convention or an event that, they asked me to come to tell my story and to be engaged in conversation about children being kidnapped and sex trafficking and what our children are acceptable to. It was very interesting. It was very informative. Was I happy about it? No. This hurt my heart. It saddened me. The name of the event was called Rescuing Our Children 2020. And oh my God, it was a whole 3-day event. I just got back yesterday, and basically I've been sleeping ever since because it was so exhausting to receive all this information and just to talk to parents and understand what's going on and how our children are being exposed. And some of the information totally startled me because they were saying that some schools throughout the nation, they believe, are in connection with sex trafficking and with child, endangering, sex, I already said sex trafficking, but, abduction and kidnapping. And they were saying that some of the school systems are involved in that. And I was like, oh my God, what? I don't know what level that is that, I was so blown away to even hear about it. But this is the discussion that needs to be talked about. And we as a people, I had no clue that there were over 200,000 a year as far as sex trafficking. Kids coming up missing is more than that. It's like 800,000 a year. But the kidnapping for sex trafficking is like 200,000 plus a year, which on an average is 2,000 a day. That's a lot of chaos. That's a lot of kidnapping. That's a lot. That means that in my lifetime, I have been somewhere at some point at a Walmart, a Target, a parking lot, a bank, somewhere I have been and a child had been taken in the presence of me. Like it had to be. Because those numbers are incredibly high. And listening to this event, they had many speakers. I don't know. They had maybe, it was a 2-day event. So they had probably like several dozen speakers come up, and they all were talking anywhere between half an hour to 45 minutes. And they all were discussing, what they knew about it. And I'm also excited because next week I have a gentleman coming on who sells car insurance. Well, he enlightened me today. He explained to me that you can also have insurance on your children as far as that's concerned. And with those staggering numbers, I don't see why we wouldn't want to invest that. These are our precious babies. These are our children that we want to see become young adults. And as I speak right now, there's a crime being committed. Someone is taking someone's child that's maybe outside playing on their bicycle or their tricycle or their big wheel. I don't even know. Do they still have big wheels? But you know what I'm saying? I had a big wheel, so I figured they might still have them out there. I don't know. But anyway, it just melts my heart to know that these things are going on. And I'm kind of glad tonight that I did not have a guest on, because I really want people to understand the impact of how we need to make sure our children are safe. I know when I was coming up, my parents never let me do anything. And boy, let me tell you something. At that time, I thought they were just the meanest people on the planet. Like I thought they wouldn't let me go to my cousin's house. They wouldn't let me go over my family's house. They wouldn't let me go to my friend's house until I really got up in age. But when I was a young girl, they would never let me go anywhere. And I thought that was, that they were just being, overly I'm trying to make sure my on. Okay. Anyway, had a little glitch there. Sorry. So yeah, when I was a young girl, when I was a young girl, thank you for letting me know. My producer just told me everything's fine. When I was a young girl, my parents totally would not let me do anything ever. And I just thought they were just so strict, thought they were so mean, because all my friends always got to go somewhere. They always got to be in the block parties. They always got to have house parties. They always were able to go to skating parties. They always were able to go to the mall to catch the bus. They would catch the bus to the mall all independently. And I know I wasn't immature. I was never like that immature. I was, I was responsible, but they knew what I did not, is that this country or just, just in general, people can be absolutely mean and vicious. So I wanted to come on tonight just to talk about that. Also, with the Rescuing Our Children, they have something that you can find out more information. So if you were to text 501-555, again, that's 501-555, and I may have one of the speakers on. I think that would be dynamite to have a speaker on from that convention, that event, for them to talk about their experience and what's going on, because they can really get into depth way more than I can. Like, they were even exposing things like Netflix, and let me tell you, I believe that Netflix was a safe zone for myself and for my children for many years. And then all of a sudden, in recent, months, or maybe in the recent last 12 months, I noticed Netflix, maybe it might've been longer than that, but that's just when I noticed it. They have a lot of things on there that are questionable, like, the show Lucifer and all those kind of things are not appropriate for our children. And I do understand that they have certain things that you can put on there, just make sure it's child safe on your Netflix. But so I'm just letting you know, just in case you don't know, that they do have child programs that your children can only access that. So I didn't know about that when my children were young, even though Netflix was fairly new when my kids were young. But believe me, just looking at some of the programs, some of the shows that they have on there now, it's just not Christian like. It's just not, there's some issues. Not only that, some of these other like video games that kids can get access to at the age of 10 and 11, I mean, and a lot of them are talking about music that totally inappropriate music, like women like strip club kind of theme, and these video games are just very provocative, and those kind of things are, if we're worried about the sex trafficking, if we're worried about our children not being, safe when we can just let them go somewhere, or when they're with us and they get taken away, then we also have to look at other things that's being exposed, like Netflix, like video games. Now, mind you, I love my Netflix. I'm not saying that no one should have Netflix, but what I am saying is that we have to just totally be aware of what our children receive from these streams. Those things are very, very important. Also, I don't know, I'm looking at how precious my children are. And like I mentioned earlier, how I thought my parents were very strict with me. Well, I also believe that I was pretty strict with my girls, and I was married for many years, and then I got a divorce. And once I received my divorce, it was just me and my girls. And I too was very strict on them, because I knew that they could be harmed. I knew people were, could be mean to them. But to understand the numbers right now, the staggering numbers, and I did not know, and maybe people know about this, but I did not know one of the reasons why, or some of the kids that's coming over from the border, they're taking those children, and they're taking those children and they're exploiting them, and they're chaining them up in these barracks type of situations, and they're using them. And it's just like these little girls. And when I was listening to Rescuing Our Children 2020, or when I was sitting there in the audience and I was listening to one of the testimonies, broke my heart, because the lady had explained she asked the sheriff or police officer, she said, what was the youngest child you ever had to rescue? And the officer said, an infant with the umbilical cord still attached. That just breaks my heart. That breaks my heart. So each one teach one. We all have to look out for one another, our well-being, our safety. And if we see something, we must say something. And if we're wrong, cool, glad I was wrong. But we have to say something because this is totally out of hand. And not only that, I also want to touch base on today when I get back into town. Here I am trying to relax, to recoup from this past weekend of traveling and, you know, sitting in and speaking and doing all these different things with the organization. I get this feed on my social media that a brand new baby, well, the baby was one, but that's still just brand new. The baby didn't even know that he or she was even alive. And I get this feed that this baby was shot. And it's just like, what are we doing? Like, how are we, you know, we have to, if we're saying that all lives matter, if we're saying that Black lives matter, if we're saying, then we have to abide by that. And these people out here with these illegal guns, they must be stopped. They must be stopped. Because I know on God's green earth, someone who is registered with a gun did not commit such a horrible crime. So it had to be someone out here who just is crazy and randomly going around and just hurting people. This was a brand new baby that didn't even know it was alive and was shot dead in my town, in Akron, Ohio. I had to get some of the stuff off my chest tonight. I'm really glad that I did not have anyone on, because these were some of the things that I felt were empowering, that can help each other, help one another, talk about subjects that are really, really incredibly near and dear to my heart. I love children so much. I have worked with children. I give you a little background about me. Why am I so passionate? It's beyond what people would think. I know people think, oh, well, she became this advocate because she got in trouble because her kids were, no. I had a daycare center before my second child was ever born. I had a daycare center, and it was called the Academy of Early Learning. And I remember I was a very young girl. I didn't know what I was doing, okay? But I wrote this proposal up, and I went to the pastor of this church, and I said, his name was Pastor Paramore. I said, Pastor Paramore, my name is Kelly Williams Bullard, and I like to have my own daycare. And I wrote him everything, step by step, what I want to do, how I want to achieve this. And he believed in me. He said, got you. He took me around the building. He showed me the area where I would be. And let me see. And so, okay, there we go. And so I pursued it. And I ended up getting all the things I needed. And I had that daycare for several years. Loved it. Absolutely loved it. I have been an advocate for children, safety of children, academically, wanting our children to succeed and be ahead of the game for many, many years. So this is not like something like all of a sudden when I got in trouble with my kids and the situation happened out in the Copley Fairlawn School District. This is totally, no. I've always been an advocate for kids, and I will continue. I probably would die advocating for children, having a voice for our kids, because our kids are innocent. They're just beautiful, innocent babies that need our protection. They need us to be their protectors. And if I have that opportunity to be that voice for our babies across this country, and I don't care what color that child is, I'm going to do that. So God calls on all of us to protect our children for those who use them or regard them as a commodity. It's dangerous. So I just want to come on. I wasn't going to hold you guys long. I can't wait for my next guest. And I'm going to be on tonight with Marcel. So if you guys want more information, please tune in tonight at 9 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. Yeah, 9 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. I had to make sure I was saying that right. And we're going to go in depth and we're going to talk more about this and my event, Rescuing Our Children 2020, what I experienced and all the great information I had. I'll be able to commute that over to her program as well. So that's it. God bless you all. Thank you so much. Peace, love, protect our babies. Bye-bye.